Hello YouTube, Dutch Sense here. It is 2:31 p.m. Central Standard Time on Sunday, March 20th, 2011. And I figure now is probably a prudent time to do a global earthquake update. This is going to take a little while, and this is probably one of the more important ones to go on right now. Okay, so, and I'm not calling myself important, I'm just saying this is an important thing to pay attention to. So, what I'm doing is I'm going to show you the earthquakes, first of all, for the last 7 days, and then we're going to get down to today's, and I'm just going to get into it really quick. Here's the last 7 days worth of earthquakes around the world, and I got to shrink this back so you can really see it. And this is listed through the USGS, so this is not going to be a full reading. This is going to be the ones that the United States chooses to report. We're going to get into the European update in a little bit, where I'll show you all the European earthquakes, and unfortunately they're not plotted on this globe here. But, okay, so now that you've seen this massive set of spikes all around the planet, you can see the Japan spike, all right? And it's still ongoing. We can go and I can turn this down to the last couple, like hour, and there's a 4.8 and a 5.3 and a 5.0 within the last not even a couple hours. There's the 4.8 that just happened. And a 4.4 down here. Now what I want to show you happened over the past few days, look at this. This area has now lit back up. And so has California, the Pacific Northwest, all across the United States, up to the northeast. And let me just turn it over the past 3 days so you can see that. Look at the United States. Look at it. You see this right along here? And all the way up here? Okay, this, I'm going to put a link down below. This is called the North American Craton. And the outline that you're seeing roughly along here is the shape of the craton underneath. The craton is a gigantic old plate, a lot of which has been there for unchanged, untouched, really, never subducted for a long period of time. And a lot of that is crustal, and it goes down all the way down to the Earth's core, or to the Earth's crust. So now let me just turn this back up again for the past day, and you'll see what's just happened in the last day. Okay? And so I'm going to have to issue some kind of alert or warning, or just to keep your eyes out. And I'm going to put all the links down below, even for this Earthquake 3D program. And you guys can monitor it yourselves and start watching where these are occurring, because over here in Florida, from here along the east coast of Florida over to the Panhandle, there's been a series of rumblings that have happened. Long 20-minute underground rumblings. And now, knowing that the North American Craton, it's obvious it's got some shaking or something going on down below. This says to me that sound down in Florida is not a good sound that we want to hear. Okay, that's not a natural, everyday occurrence. That is the movement of either magma, water, or some kind of device, maybe an underground boring machine. Those of us who have been into it for a while know about those devices. You can go look those up, these giant underground tunnel digging machines that they use to build these underground bases, which do exist. And that's verified by multiple people. So let's get over here really quick to look down what's happening. It looks like, to me, there's been a progression of earthquakes that have happened going down the western portion of the Pacific Ring of Fire, and you can see them. Okay, we're just going to bring them up. Now watch. Up, 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 up. Right? And they're all 4s and 5s. Now this is not called a swarm. This is called a succession. A swarm is what we're seeing here occurring still in Japan. And now it's been reported today on CNN that Japan has sunk by, I think it said 2 feet. That's just going off the top of my head there. I'm going to have to go try to find that mainstream media report. And that they were concerned with the tides coming into further levels now that it started to sink. And of course it tilted to the right, which it says to me, go see the other video that I made, I think it's falling into the right. I think it's falling into that 20,000 foot trench. So you can see it's continuing up here through the Philippines, and now today they just had a 6.1 there, and let me see if we can find that. USGS has it listed as a 5.9, but actually I'm going to list the Philippine Seismological Agency below, and they say 6.1. And of course that makes a huge difference in all the alerts that everybody gets around the world. So if they could just keep it at 5.9, you don't get all those big earthquake warnings that go off in your iPod. Okay, so South America really quick. Well, Chile has not stopped moving at all, and we had a lot of activity in the Central America region, and that has to do with the volcanoes that are along there, and of course Haiti. Haiti has not stopped since the big one. Mid-Atlantic ridge activity has occurred all along the ridge, as you can see here, from the South Pole up to last week's North Pole and Northern Greenland earthquakes that were 4 and 5s. All right. So here we are, and we're looking at a shot of Europe and Africa. And over the last few days, Africa has had multiple 5.0s along their volcanic ranges. All right, these are volcanic ranges here in Africa. And the seismograph network through Africa is really limited. Trying to find data from that is really hard, and I'm still looking. If you guys can find it, please send me over links for Africa. But Europe now. Europe, we haven't heard much about you guys. And that to me says, uh-oh. There's, whenever something goes quiet for a long time and you don't hear anything about it, that's when you need to pay attention to it. I'd say if you're in Europe, you need to monitor the European Seismological Agency, which we're going to go to right now, and I'll provide a link down below for that. Now this will give us a good idea of what's going on in Europe. This will give us Europe and the Middle East. And we've got a lot of activity in Greece, and that's just been going off nonstop. Greece, Greece, Greece. There's also been activity, I believe, in France, Poland, and England. Yeah, here's Poland right here. Czech Republic. Lots of activity in Turkey, as we know, but of course they don't show it on any of the U.S. sites. And you got to remember, Turkey is a huge seismologically active area, and that affects all of Europe. And with the uptick in activity that's been occurring, we cannot ignore Europe and the potential for an earthquake there. I mean, I'm just looking, I see France here, Aegean Sea, Crete, more Greece. Here's Ethiopia, okay? And unfortunately, the Europeans don't provide us this cool graphical readout in Earthquake 3D. We got to figure out how we can get that in there. Here we go, Finland, 2.3. Wow. Yeah, and we're only getting back here to the to the 18th. So we're talking lots of earthquakes here. So you can add a whole bunch of earthquakes in here that are not on this map. So honestly, in my personal opinion, the United States, we need to keep our eyes peeled. And Japan, you need to keep your eyes on what's going on with the island and the sinking and the earthquake action. In the South Pacific, down near Australia, New Zealand, where you guys had the big one, to me it looks like almost like the plate is doing a bounce around right now. It's going from one side to the other and back over. So it's going, the mainstream media has showed it over and over again. They said there was an earthquake in Chile, then there's an earthquake in New Zealand, then there's an earthquake up here in Japan. Then they're now all making the prediction for the earthquake in the United States, which makes sense. But when you look at what's happening now, let's just take this back down again so you can see how they pop off. Look in the South Pacific, watch. Okay? So now they just had another 4.4 in the South Pacific. So that to me says now this has gone up, and there has to be more expansion and contraction which is going to lead to more earthquakes down along this area. So if you live in the New Zealand area, be prepared. And if you live in the United States, be prepared. And if you live in South America, be prepared along Chile coast. And if you live in Europe, keep your eyes out, and it might be a good time to start preparing. And Africa, luckily, there's a lot of unpopulated area here, in the area where the earthquakes are occurring. And Asia, of course, let me just turn these back on. So there you have it, folks. That's a global earthquake overview and what I just think roughly is happening. And the Florida sign to me being that I live right on the edge of the Craton. Okay, I live in St. Louis, Missouri right here. And we are on the New Madrid Fault, which is one of the biggest earthquake zones of all time. And they had one of the biggest earthquakes there ever. So, and we've been noticeably silent in the Missouri area. Down here in Arkansas and everywhere else that has been active, but nothing for us. And speaking of active, really quick, we need to look at the Pacific Northwest because they are not showing any volcano activity, and I know for a fact that Mount St. Helens today is showing some serious activity. Let me find it. Here we go. I think it is this one. Yeah, here we go. Okay, Mount St. Helens. All right, the old dome has this one rumbler, which is actually pretty big for the old dome, believe it or not. You can go back and look at the past ones. I'm not going to waste your time on that. Okay, here we go. Mount St. Helens West has the rumbler that shows at the old dome, also shows on the west portion. But one of these here, I don't know which one it is. Is really intense. Okay. Here's another rumbler and a series of just small, maybe half magnitude to maybe borderline 1, maybe. One of these is just going through the roof right now. Okay, there's another rumbler. That's a pretty nice size one, 2, 2.5. Crater double B. Again, showing the rumbling. And that's probably from, I think it's Cedar Flats. Here we go. Boom. Something's going on up at St. Helens Cedar Flats right now. And this is major harmonic flow. This is magma movement. You may even be having some outgassing or some steam occurring, or a minor eruption, just very minor. But this is, I mean, that's undeniable. It goes from a flat line up to, and we can go back and look. Let's go back and look at the charts here for a second on Cedar Flats. Right? This is yesterday. And then boom, it starts to pick up, and it kicks up to today. So that shows you a good baseline reading of what it's normally like there and what's going on there right now. And this is as we speak. So that makes me want to jump and check out Yellowstone, because we know the United States Geological Survey and their record with reporting Yellowstone. If you don't know their record, go back and look at my uploads. Yeah, okay, we've got earthquake activity up in Yellowstone. Minor, maybe 1s and 2s, maybe 1. Looks like there's some background movement in some of these, like at the lake. You've got this, which it is movement of magma deep underground. And again, you can see it there. It goes from slight rumbling there. So I'm not too concerned with Yellowstone. Well, actually, let's check out Soda Butte really quick. Okay, and these could be other anomalies such as geyser activity. Okay, folks, that's the global earthquake outlook. I know I just said that a few minutes ago, but now we are done. And if anything else comes out in the next couple hours, I'll be on top of it. Cheers, folks.